All right. Well, just to get us started, welcome. This is the Student Government and Student Trustee Information Session. My name is Will Cribby. My pronouns are he, him, his. I currently serve as the Assistant Dean of Students and also the advisor of our Bunker Hill Community College Student Government Association. My email is on the bottom of the screen. That information will be available again at the end of the session. Okay, so moving on, the goals for the session, I'm going to share some information about the SGA and student trustee officer positions. I'm going to review the timeline for nomination, campaign, election policies and procedures. As I said, I'll be sharing the timeline. And then at the end, I'm going to open for any questions that you all might have. First up, just to share some information about the positions, you'll hear as I read the different responsibilities of the positions. They have a lot of commonalities, but they do have some individual responsibilities because they're part of the larger student government leadership. There's a lot of things that they do together because they're part of a team, but then within their positions, they do have some specific responsibilities. So to get us started, the SGA president runs all of our SGA meetings, serves as the spokesperson and representative for the organization, both internally at the college and externally. They maintain weekly office hours. They serve on campus-wide committees. They attend regular meetings with their advisor. So they're outside of SGA meetings, they meet with the advisor. And they also have meetings with leadership at the college, like the dean of students and the Bunker Hill president. The SGA Vice President of Administration provides leadership and oversight for processes involving the budget. So in a lot of ways, we don't have a SGA officer whose position is the treasurer, but the Vice President of Administration is that officer. And so they oversee the budget. They serve on campus-wide committees, they maintain weekly office hours, and represent the SGA president in their absence. And so this position, should the president not be able to attend a meeting, the SGA Vice President of Administration would step in to serve as the leader to run that meeting. The other piece in regards to budgets, all clubs and organizations at Bunker Hill fall under Student Government Association. So if a club or organization wanted to request funding for an event, for a program that they wanted to do, if they wanted to attend a conference, whatever that might be, they would go to SGA to request those funds. And so the SGA Vice President of Administration would invite them to fill out a form to request funding, walk them through how to fill that form, and then they would call an SGA Budget Committee meeting to review the request and have SGA officers present to review, ask questions, and make a determination about funding that request. The next position, SGA Vice President of Human Resources, they too attend all of our SGA meetings. They maintain office hours. They coordinate elections, recruitment, onboarding, and appointment processes for vacant officer positions. Primarily, they do this when there's a vacancy outside of the annual election process. This session is to help you all to understand more about the annual election process. And so this is done by the advisor. But if there's open positions come fall, whether it be a senator position or whatever that might be, the Vice President of Human Resources would work with the advisor to coordinate a process to fill those vacant positions. They also provide leadership to constitutional and SGA position update processes. And so from last year to this year, they had last year, the SGA, under the Vice President of Human Resources, reviewed the Constitution to propose changes. In last year's election process, the student body at Bunker Hill voted on their proposed new constitution, which was ratified and became the new constitution for our Student Government Association. But within that constitution process, they also made some updates to SGA officer positions. And I'll talk about that because it really kind of applies to what are the requirements to be eligible to run for office. And then this position also serves on campus-wide committees. The SGA Vice President of Student Affairs serves as a liaison for all student issues pertaining to student life. They also attend all of our SGA meetings. Uh, they serve on campus-wide committees. They maintain weekly office hours. They serve as a liaison between all student clubs and the organizations and with SGA. And so for clubs and organizations, every club and organization that exists had at one point had gone through a process to apply to become a club and organization, and they did that through SGA. And so for any new club that wants to exist or be created at Bunker Hill, they would put together a constitution. They would come together a few officers who are interested in starting that club, meet with student activities to fill out forms, but then they would present to SGA their constitution, information about their club, who their advisor might be, and what they hope to do as a new club at Bunker Hill. And then SGA would vote to approve their existence and them becoming a new club at the college. And so the SGA Vice President of Student Affairs kind of serves as an assistant to those clubs to help them to understand processes within SGA, but also to give them support so that they can plan a program, that they can schedule an event, that they can put out a communication about their club, get a room if they want to have an in-person meeting, whatever that might be. And then they assist with the coordination of student engagement and student break, study break activities. And so helping student activities, but also the greater college, just to provide opportunities for students to engage outside of meetings and classes and the such. The Vice President of Academic Affairs is kind of like partnered with the SGA Vice President of Student Affairs in that they are the liaison for all student issues pertaining to academic life, whereas the VP of Student Affairs is the liaison for all student issues pertaining to student life. And so in the classroom, academic concerns. And so this position attends all of our SGA meetings. They serve on campus-wide committees. They maintain office hours, and then they represent student concerns pertaining to academic support services and resources at the college. So very valuable position, like all of them. But this one more so tying to academic and academic services. The SGA Vice President of Communications, they are the liaison for all public relation activities for SGA. They attend all SGA meetings, serve on campus-wide committees, maintain weekly office hours, and coordinate and publicize the activities of the SGA to the college community. This position last year took a look at the SGA logo and worked with SGA to create, and this position actually worked on kind of a rebranding project for SGA. And so SGA now has new logos that we use, including the logo that I used on the first slide of this presentation. And so they worked on that. This year, this position created and started a newsletter that, as we were working virtually, just another way to get information out to our student body about different initiatives, office hours, meetings, and other information for students to stay engaged with our SGA. Next position, our SGA Executive Secretary, serves as a liaison for all issues pertaining to SGA correspondence and record keeping. This position is super valuable and very underrated. They attend all of our SGA meetings, but while they're at those meetings, they're the ones keeping minutes. But they're also the one position that works with our SGA president to develop the meeting agenda, and then also keeps the record of the minutes and then presents the minutes from meeting to meeting for the officers to approve to make sure that all the information is accurate. And then they keep all records of all the meetings throughout the year. And then they also maintain office hours, and then they serve on campus-wide committees. This position is also really great in making sure, one, that we follow our Robert's Rules of Order. So all SGA meetings kind of follow a set of rules, which help keep us, one, in order, but also give us structure. And so making sure that when we make a decision or SGA makes a decision, that we have quorum, meaning we have enough people present for a vote to be valid, that they keep track of the vote to make sure that we have the numbers in favor or against, and and just keep record of that. And so that way it's in the minutes for our meetings, so that any votes that happen are recorded and the information about the vote is present. But a lot of important details that need to be kept record of. Next position, SGA Senator at Large. All the other positions that I mentioned, they're all a single position within our SGA. The Senator at Large position, there are 7. And so these senators, they attend all of our SGA meetings, they maintain office hours, they work with appropriate SGA vice presidents on special projects and serve on campus-wide committees. These officers, although they're not vice presidents, they are very active in subcommittees within SGA, and they're a lot of the doers. And so if they have a passion on, rewriting the Constitution or on study breaks and programming for engagement, this is the position that a student would be able to do a lot of work in those areas. So very important. The last position I'm going to mention is our student trustee. This position attends all SGA and Board of Trustee meetings and serves as a liaison between the Board of Trustees and SGA. They are not an officer in our Student Government Association, but they are a trustee with the Board of Trustees. And so they bring information about what's happening on campus through the student leadership, through our Student Government Association, to our Board of Trustees, but they also bring information from the Board of Trustees meetings back to Student Government Association. And so in that respect, they serve as a liaison. They are not a voting member of SGA, whereas all the other positions, senators, vice presidents, executive secretary, and president, are voting members of SGA. And so are elected in that role, whereas the trustee is not a voting member of SGA. They are a voting member of our Board of Trustees. And so in addition to attending those meetings, they also attend the Massachusetts Student Advisory Council, which is comprised of trustees and leadership, so presidents of SGAs of all the community colleges and the state universities in Massachusetts. And so they have a monthly meeting, which has been virtual, but used to be in person pre-pandemic. And they're starting to offer some hybrid meetings, and they meet probably once a month and really share kind of information about what's happening on all the different campuses, but also talk about statewide initiatives like OER. So online educational resources, and really promoting those on the individual campuses as a way for students to have access to educational materials at no cost, rather than having to buy expensive textbooks. And so this position also has weekly office hours and serves on campus-wide committees. Okay, so here's where some of the changes have happened with the new Constitution. The first up, this is not a change, but any student who pays the required college fees and is registered for a class at Bunker Hill is a member of the BHCC Student Association. And so every student at Bunker Hill is a member of the association just by being a student at the college. But any student who seeks to be to an elected office of serving as an SGA officer or appointed position in the Student Government Association or student trustee must be enrolled for at least one course, have a 2.3 GPA, and be in good standing as defined by the college, and maintain the status during the entire term of service. And so with that, that just means we don't want anyone to serve in a leadership position with SGA who's struggling academically. Part of that being, we do not want a student who's struggling academically to add more responsibility and impact their GPA and do worse. And so we want students to be in good academic standing, be comfortable with their academics, and not struggle as the result of taking on a position. We also want to make sure, because as an SGA officer, you're representing the college on campus-wide committees, you could be representing the college outside of the college, we want you to be in good conduct standing. And so a student who's been in a physical altercation, is on probation, has been found responsible for academic dishonesty, they're probably not good representation of the college. And so we want our student leaders to represent the best of the best, and we want them to be good role models. And so being in good academic and conduct standing is very important. And so from last year's constitution, a big change for all the SG positions was that a student moved from part-time status to only having to be enrolled in a single course. And that was a big change because it used to be part-time status. The student trustee used to have to be a full-time student. And so that's something that is different, that has changed as a result of the SGA constitution change last year. So here's information about the application. So any student who wants to apply for the position, you will get a link after today or later today, for those of you attending, to the application. And so what will be asked is you'll have to submit a statement, a 1 to 2 pages long in 12-point font, which should detail the following: your name, what position you're running for, the role you believe SGA should have in student life at Bunker Hill Community College, why you are running for office, and what you hope to contribute if elected. And this information will be posted for the student body to be able to access on our website to learn more about your candidacy when they get their election ballot, so that they can identify what it is you stand for as they're trying to make a decision about who they want to vote for each position. We ask you to submit a photograph, kind of a headshot, and it's usually in a JPEG format. Again, this will be part of the election ballot. We want people to be able to put faces and names together when they're making decisions about who they're voting. And it's really helpful for the candidates to be able to do that. We also ask for you to submit a video introduction of up to 2 minutes. And again, I really try to make it very clear, keep it to 2 minutes. As you know, attention span only goes so far. For those of you who, watch clips on TikTok and YouTube and whatever that might be, the longer something is, the more someone loses attention. And so really trying to be very focused and succinct to make sure that you're able to introduce yourself, talk about what it is you stand for, why you're running for office, and really kind of making it more of like a commercial about you and why you're running. And so be very, very succinct, keep it short, and then just making sure that you're submitting it in either an MP4, you can record in WebEx or Zoom and submit that way. But these videos are really important. Again, it's just another way for you to promote yourself, and that will be available through the college website for students to learn more about your candidacy. Next, you need to attend an info session. You're all here. You've already you've met that responsibility. So great. And so for those of you who are in who I don't see a last name, I'm just going to ask for you in chat to put in your name and last name. And if you could also put your email address, that way I can follow up from the session, send you the link to the application, and give you a copy of this PowerPoint presentation. And that way you have that information, so that if you're already sitting there taking notes, you can stop and just listen, because I'm going to give you the PowerPoint presentation for you to access as you're planning to fill out your application, so you have this information. Next, once you've submitted your application, you'll receive a notice from me letting you know that you're approved, that you've met the requirements, that you're in good standing, and that you can begin campaigning. And again, to be eligible to run and to serve, you need to be enrolled in one class. You need to have a 2.3 GPA. You need to be in good standing as defined by the college, as I stated before, not only to run, but also to serve in office. Okay, so campaign election policies and procedures. All candidates running for office in the 2022-2023 Student Government Association elections must adhere to the following policies. Voting will take place from May 4th to May 6th, 2022. Every registered Bunker Hill Community College student will receive a link personalized to their individual BHCC email that will be sent to them through the email system. And that link will give them the ability, starting on Wednesday, May 4th at 12 through Friday, May 6th at noon, to elect or to fill out a ballot to elect who they would like to see serve in office for the next year. Results will be announced on Friday, May 6th at 2 p.m. So all candidates who run for office will be invited to come to see the election results and hear who will be serving as the SGA officers for next year. A landing page, as I mentioned, will be created on our website, which will have information about what all the candidates submit. So their statement, their photo, and their promotional video, where students can learn more about each candidate who's running for office. Posting and campaigning online must still follow certain etiquette and protocol. We ask that for any promotional material that you want to post about yourself and your candidacy, that you pass it by me. And so and that's just for me to support you to, one, make sure that you're being appropriate, that you're not saying anything out of turn, that you're not saying anything that's going to harm your candidacy, but also to making sure that you have all the information that will best present you. And so that's me offering my assistance to help you to be your best and promote yourself in the best way. When referring to the position you're running for, the title of the position must be preceded by the words SGA. We don't want to cause any panic for anyone who's running for SGA president to forget the SGA and have our college president be concerned that someone's trying to take their job. I say that in jest, but I just want to make sure that for all of you who are running, that you use the SGA mark as your way of highlighting and indicating that you're running for the Student Government Association and really putting prestige behind that, because these positions that you're running for are representing our student body. And so it's a big position. And so making sure that, when you say you're running for president, one, they don't confuse it that you're running for president of the photography club. We want to make sure that they know you're running for president of the Student Government Association, representing the Bunker Hill Community College student body. And so really, really using SGA as part of your branding for the position you're running for. Within the ballot, just to be fair, we're going to keep everything alphabetical. And so if we have, 3 people running for president, we will put them in alphabetical order by last name, so we're not showing any preference about who's running for position. And so just to be clear on that, all publicity and conduct of all parties involved in the election and voting process must be kept at a professional level. This is college. This is part of academics. We really want, as I said, we want you to stay in good standing, but we also want you to represent yourself in the best light, so that people want to vote for you because you're a great person and you're a great candidate and you bring great ideas, and that you've really thought about why you want to be in office. The content of the campaigns and publicity items should focus on the issue and not the individuals involved. And so everything you're doing to promote yourself should be about yourself and not about anyone else running for office. The content of the materials and conduct of all parties involved shall not infringe upon any other student's rights and must follow the standards of appropriateness as outlined by our Student Code of Conduct. All right, so this is a lot of wording, but I'll just keep it very light. You'll get this information to be able to read it at a later time. The first piece that's most important is that you're running for yourself. And so if you have friends running for office, that's great. But you're running individually. And so the term slate means that if you want to run for president, you have a friend who wants to run for vice president, you don't campaign together and you don't promote each other. You really just campaign for yourself. And that's also too that our SGA officers represent our student body. They do not represent a major or a group of friends. And so making sure that when you're running for office, you're running for yourself, and that everyone running for office is doing that, and not because they as a major or they as a group of friends want to serve on SGA together. Something that you'll come to find is that the SGA officers are a very diverse group, and they really benefit from the diverse experiences of the other officers. And so the more diversity or different officers that come together really help better represent the student body, but also bring different voices to the table for our Student Government Association. All student activities will not be able to provide paper copies of election materials as in the past. I will ask that for students to work with me in regards to any questions or concerns they have about promotional materials, about posting things online, whatever that might be, to give you some support and ideas about that, but also to help you to edit yourself too, if if your information is off or you're missing something, whatever that might be. Disqualifications or suspension of campaigning may result if a candidate just violates any of the policies covered, and you'll get all this information after today's session. If you infringe upon anyone's rights, if you post faulty information, if you are not in good standing, whatever that might be, it could suspend your campaign. And so just making sure that you're representing yourself well, that you're following all the policies and doing your best for yourself and your campaign. And then, you'll see down below a lot of examples of reasons that someone may be disqualified or removed from the election process. And it could be sabotaging someone else. It could be interfering while students are communicating to another candidate, defacing another candidate's poster or materials, posting negative things online, whatever that might be. Just, again, be professional, focus on yourself and what you're running for, and just focus on that. Okay. Please note, online communication in particular includes, but is not limited to, text messages, emails, postings, or to social networks, whatever that might be, things on websites, whatever that might be. Just making sure, one, you're being appropriate and that you're trying to pass all materials through me to make sure that you're presenting yourself in the best light. Campaigning cannot be done in a virtual classroom or virtual club meeting. This is important. Don't show up to a meeting of a club you're involved with or show up to your classes and expect that you can share with your classmates that you're running for office. You need to get prior permission. And so whether it be reaching out to the president of the club or organization that you're a part of, or reaching out to your faculty member well in advance, not 5 minutes before class starts, asking if you can have a minute to share your candidacy for running for an office in SGA. So just make sure you do that in advance. It helps them to prepare, and also be mindful of the time. If you say you're asking for a minute, only use a minute. Don't take 5 minutes, don't take 10 minutes, because that impacts, one, the agenda of a meeting, or impacts the faculty members' time for their lecture. Candidates and people campaigning on their behalf cannot interfere with normal business of students or what have you. This is really important. If you have a friend who really is excited about you running for office and they want to help support you and talk you up, remember that means that they're representing you in your campaign. And so if they violate any of the policies, if they say anything negative about another candidate, if they in any way violate campaign policies because they're acting on your behalf, that means they're representing you, and that could put you in violation. So make sure. It's great that we have people who support us and really want us to be in office. Just remind them, great, share information so that they represent you well and don't put you in jeopardy of not being able to run for office. And then last of all, the Dean of Students Office reserves the right to cancel or repeat elections at any time based upon violations of college policies, procedures, rules, and regulations. Whew, there's a lot of information. Okay, now I'm just going to revisit the timeline. So starting last week, we had our first info session. So candidates were able to access information. And so starting this past Friday through Tuesday, April 28th at noon, people can fill out the applications to run for office. Information sessions, this is the last virtual session, but we will be recording this session, and this will be made available as an asynchronous session for individuals to be able to watch starting Friday through Tuesday the 26th. The deadline is Tuesday, April 28th to apply. And then campaigning will start as early as April 28th. So anyone who applies for office to run to campaign, once they've submitted their applications and I've been able to review their materials, I will reach out to them to let them know that they can now run for office. And so that'll happen on the 28th and 29th. And then elections, as I said, will start on May 4th. Starting at noon until Friday, May 6th at noon. And then the results will be available on Friday, May 6th at 2 p.m. Whew, again, I said a lot. There's the SGA logo. And so with that, do you have any questions? And I am going to turn off the recorder for questions.